seen a couple of you before.
I saw you on Letterman the other night.
How are you?
You get a
How you doing?
motherfucker.
This guy over here.
Letterman seems a lot like the show.
Yeah.
Letterman actually likes the show.
Yeah, we saw you. I saw you.
Huge fan.
I saw it.
It was on the TV.
I know. It's pretty cool.
What is this TV you speak of now?
Oh, television.
Oh, television.
Never seen so like, oh, finally the iPad has a camera.
Yes.
Just for you.
Just for you.
Right, because what you're really looking for a camera is something big.
I wish they had
not-
like a smaller, like
Yeah.
more convenient thing.
That, is that a
Something-
razor also?
It's not the race.
This is over. Sorry.
But
Questions.
Rob Corddry, huge fan of
Yeah.
Children's Hospital.
Thank you.
Anything expecting for the new season?
We have 4 episodes left in our current season that's running, and they're definitely 4 of our kind of top, like, really exciting. Thank you. And we are writing, actually tomorrow we leave for our yearly train trip. We travel across the country in a train and start writing the next season. So.
Nice. So where do you get your inspiration for brilliant writing? Because I laugh every time, personally.
Thank you.
Rob comes home every day, and his wife and kids are just a fountain of inspiration.
Oh, my family is just... it's like they teach me.
It'd be like his wife is like, "What do you want for dinner, honey?"
I'm like, oh, great idea.
And then do you fantasize that those are the patients in the hospital?
That's actually how my daughter was a patient in Children's Hospital, and that's where I sort of came up with the idea. But I have I don't believe in writer's block. I think it's just laziness and procrastination. And I think that I have a sort
Which
of
I do believe in.
system, exactly, way too much. System where as long as everything is out of your head in terms of like what you have to do, if I have an idea about anything, like, oh, I got to call so-and-so, I get it out of my head.
Right.
So just like clear space.
So for your character, anything new with him? Because I'm thinking about getting a tattoo of him somewhere on my body.
There is, huge developments with my character.
Next season too.
In this last 2 episodes. Show possibly network shaking stuff.
Okay.
So more Emmys on.
I make love with my Emmy. And
Ouch.
they're sharp, the wings. Huge developments, and also revelations in the first episode.
Because it's always every season, or every episode is just a roller coaster with him.
You're a fan of the show.
Yes, I am.
We should do
Die-hard
a roller
fan.
coaster episode. So it'll literally be a roller coaster.
Thanks, Mike.
Coney Island.
That's how we get ideas.
Yeah.
Let me write that down.
Cyclone.
The British show was brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, where can you go from there next season? Like a radio play? I mean, there's so many
That idea came up.
Yeah, which would be one of the old-time things with sound effects.
We did a web series, which if Adult Swim had a better website, you'd be able to find and see easily. I can't even find it, so
It's going up on the Huffington Post, so you actually can.
YouTube it.
Yeah, Huffington Post, where people actually go and watch.
Okay, so for those that have been under a rock,
It's a
can you
companion,
itexplain what Children's Hospital is?
Series this season, there is a radio play.
Really?
Yes, there's a radio, so we sort of broke it in that. We're like, I think it would be hard to sustain that for a whole real episode. But we wanted to do ones like in the dark, a silent episode, but they're really just like, those ideas are bad because you start with that idea, you start with a concept, and we never end up doing that. It's usually like, we start with a funny story, and they're like, oh, this would be a cool way to do it.
Yes.
Our next week's episode, it's called A Year in the Life, and it is in 11 minutes, we do a whole year at Children's Hospital. And it's really, really cool.
It's amazing. So,
Anybody else? You guys get questions too.
Paul was talking about maybe doing a crossover with MTSF. Like how said you had talked about it. I don't know, like how.
We always talk about it, and we shoot at different times, so it's often like we sort of miss. But we want to do it, and there's a lot of pressure. We're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to do it really right and in a really cool way. And that's a hard thing to start with, you know. Like so we've set ourselves up for disappointment. But we all really. John produces both shows, so we are very eager to do that somehow.
Rob, as an actor, shows up as a character this season of Paranormalist in NTSF, and Paul shows up every so often in Children's as Blake's clown brother. But I think you're right. There's another level to go. It's the characters.
I would like to see. I mean, like, so if I was an actor in a show, I like to imagine that when I was doing it, like, it's actually Cutter Spindell, the actor that plays Blake Downs on the show, doing a role on his friend's show, and just like that, like, Trent's character's played by, we haven't given him a name. Let me come up with, I have a database of names here. His name is...
You really?
his name is Loki Gomes. And Loki did a guest spot on our show. That'd be kind of cool to like see the actors that play, like the mythology of that, like the actors that play those actors on NTSF.
All right, so here's an idea, because I just saw the promo for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the new season that everyone's doing different characters, like Andrew Dice Clay is playing Frank, etc., etc.
For the whole season?
Just for one episode.
Okay, that's great.
Would you ever thought of doing something like that for Children's Hospital?
Yeah, actually, we've been talking about an episode where, well, the British episode, we replaced everybody for an episode. We definitely
the actors love that.
We want to do an episode. We're not quite sure how to justify it, where there's an actor strike and they replace the cast with scabs.
Okay.
But it's hard to do that. We don't like doing.
It's almost like the refs in the NFL.
Right. We don't like doing stories where at the beginning you have to explain it somehow. Like, you know, we did that with the '70s show.
But then we cut out the explanation.
That's right. And the British show, we didn't have to do that. It was like assumed. Once you see the previously ons, like, you get it.
We had a huge internal debate over how to contextualize a British episode. What we ended up with was it was the British remake of an American TV series, kind of like Law and Order is now in England.
Yeah.
But the other version was this is the original series in England of the American series remade. I don't think it makes any difference now that I say it out loud.
So how
Probably
slutty?
spent hours
Meaningless.
talking about it.
How slutty can the show get?
What kind of stuff you into?
I have a very open mind.
Kind of a lot of weird sex play.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Why not, right? It's Children's Hospital.
Not, right? Like,
There's a
let's
lot
live.
of closets in that hospital.
Life is absurd.
Exactly.
What's your name?
So my name's Rue. We have a show called WhO, and we always like to ask for a skeleton from your closet. So if you guys would each share one, that would be amazing.
Pretty please.
All right. Well, this is kind of boring, I guess, but why not? In college, I was a bit of a
Promiscuous.
Yeah, I was a little promiscuous, and I made love to this woman, and I murdered her afterwards. And not by mistake. Like, I killed her on purpose and dismembered her and got rid of her body, and I've never told that story.
And you never got caught.
So embarrassed.
That's cool.
Sorry, honey. My wife, like, she's gonna be so mad.
And do you have anything?
I love ice cream.
What flavor?
That is so brave.
Pretty much any flavor.
Aww.
And usually, we go. If I show up like at a Baskin Robbins or something, I'm like, I don't like this.
So Ben and
sometimes
Jerry's
he's
like your favorite.
Sometimes he's like vanilla, and we're like, whoa.
And I pretend I'm not like, what's? I've never tasted this before.
You're like the ice cream guy.
Most ice cream you've eaten in one sitting.
But he's disgusting. Yeah. It's terrible.
It's not just a city. Standing, walking,
Laying down, other people.
In the bathroom.
Guinness World Record holder.
It's like, welcome in the
I
show.
think you're not alone.
What do you got? Tell me.
A lot of times I've noticed on this season, you guys rotate the cast a little bit more. Like some of the mostly I think the female characters watching, maybe the male characters as well, don't show up in every episode.
Yeah.
So there'll be kind of a window where you're not seeing them.
Yeah.
I've noticed like Bell's directed a number of episodes this season, but didn't appear in those episodes.
Yeah.
Was that intentional, or was it really just a timing with the actors?
Yeah, it's the way it works out. Sometimes people have like, they can't make a week of shooting, and unfortunately with Lake, but also, yeah, we also like financially we're like, cool, we can't have all the actors in this episode, and also there's a lot of cast members and you know schedules and stuff. But with Lake, it was a bummer because we don't set the order ahead of time. We decide later after we've edited it, like what the order is going to be. And hers was one of the best episodes, so we put it first. And then she happened to be, the second one was one of those that she wasn't in. And then she like directed the third one, so she wasn't in that. And then the fourth was one I was like, oh my God, this was a terrible, we never thought of that. Like Lake was missing from the first third of the season.
Didn't matter. You got the Emmy anyway.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Even Lake Bell can't stop us from getting
Expect
an
the
Emmy.
unexpected, right?
But
Yeah,
it's also
exactly.
The unexpected.
It's also a large cast and a 11-minute show. At a certain point, we decide, you know what, instead of having someone have 3 lines in a show and basically be a glorified extra, you know, when people, it's hard to give everyone the amount of screen time in a single episode, because when you do, then you're truly diluting the focus amongst characters.
So true.
So-
And I hate acting on the show. It's very hard for me because I'm doing so many other things that to get in a costume and put the makeup on and then do lines that I hope I have because I've been working on them so much, but I've never memorized them, and it's just like so stressful.
I never know if to believe you or not.
I'm totally serious.
Really?
I do not like acting on the show. It's a pain in the ass.
So where do you want to act?
Oh, I love acting. I love it. It's but on this.
That's a weird thing about it.
No, I love it, but not this one is like. But you know what? It kind of informed the character because my character, he's the clown, but he is the least interesting, least funny, least emotive, and that's all because I was like, I got nothing. I just got to say these lines and
It's working
because I got a meeting in like half an hour.
So do you
Fortunately,
feel...
the makeup does most of the acting.
Yes, no, I'm not kidding. Like it does a lot of the heavy lifting. Like
So do you feel, as an actor, being on Adult Swim or regular primetime television, do you feel that you have more freedom on Adult Swim?
yeah, I find that. Yes.
I would say it's safe to say that you probably have more freedom on Adult Swim in a creative way.
That's what
than
we're hearing
anywhere
all
else
day.
on
Yeah.
television.
And yeah, or
And-
anywhere.
Yes,
In any
walk of life.
too much freedom.
Yeah. So when you guys have to set, like, what plot lines have you gotten rid of because you're like, okay, no, like this is.
Well, never
we're
for
happy.
never for reasons of what I assume you meant was just like, oh, this is just too. Hey, like, no, mostly for just reasons like, oh, this sounds familiar. I think I've seen this before, or you know, we've kind of similar to something we've done, or it's just boring to us. Like sometimes a story will make it to almost episode, you know, and we'll be like, I'm just not into it anymore.
So if you could dive
Something
off
that
of
almost-
any cliff into an Adult Swim, where would it be from?
Something that will kill an idea is when we suddenly realize, like, oh, this feels like a sitcom idea. This isn't funny. This is
Add a laugh track.
yeah.
And also one of the things is like we'll be like, oh, you know what? A show like Grey's Anatomy would actually do this, and so that's a killer too.
Okay.
Will you guys be going back to shooting Brazil again for season 5?
Well, we're always on the lookout for a storyline that gives us an excuse to travel to go somewhere exotic.
If you notice in that episode, we shot it. I don't know if you noticed, but we shot a couple takes so that we could change it, or the next season we could be like do the same shot, and then they turn a corner, and all of a sudden they're in downtown Tokyo or something. We're like, where do we want to go? Well, let's not say it dialogue right now. Let's not lock us in somewhere. And then, but we never do. It's super expensive and really dumb. It was 20 seconds of tape that we didn't even need for the story.
An 18-hour flight.
It's dumb, but fun. Super fun.
All right, so any last sales pitch for Children's Hospital?
Buy Children's Hospital at any store, and it will make you a better person.
Aw.
Yes, it
Thanks,
will.
Doctor.
You're welcome.
Any more?
That was it. What a good
Thank you
outline.
so much.
Thank you.